Hey everyone, Ivy League Gaming here, and today we're playing Dragonheir Silent Gods. For today's video, I'm going to show you my Burn team plus Zarloth as a main DPS versus the MEKKATORQUE, and this is the Phase 2. But before I get into that, we need to talk about the D&D collaboration event. Starting February 23rd, you can now summon Elminster Omar from the Planner Summoning. He's a new hero of the fire element, the Sage of Shadowdale. Before, we had Dristo Erden, who I absolutely love. This time we also get an exclusive artifact, which is perfect for Elminster, as well as other heroes. There's even a new boss to fight, Samaster. This enemy is going to come with a multi-stage set of battles for even richer content. Really cool graphics for this one as well. There's also some other new monsters like the Dracolich and the Stone Golem. There's also new dice skins. I love the ones from last season's, and these ones look great as well. They never disappoint with the graphics. There's also the Sage Baggage, which is a special pack you can purchase that gives you an avatar frame. There's new maps, new storylines, and so much to explore. Join the D&D legends in the Dragonheir world. Be sure to download via Android, iOS, Mac, PC, Steam, or Epic Games. And also be sure to use my promo code DRAGON0223. Alright, so Phase 2, of course, brings out new challenges. And that's where Gladros here comes in. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys the different hero builds, the roles, talk about the positioning and why everything matters. And as you can see, the numbers are high. This is a great team. I had Gladra or Zarloth die a bit early, unfortunately, and then everyone else started falling before the end too, and only Elminster was alive for the very end. So there's a little bit of potential for adjustments, and I'm going to talk about that as well. But as you can see, being so close to 200 million, just a few adjustments could actually be the answer. But this is a run we have to semi-manual to really min-max. But if you're not worried about hitting 200, you're happy with 100 mil or whatever, this is also a team that's pretty full auto-friendly. So let's get into that. Alright, so for the equipment here, I do have really good gear. Legendary artifacts, yes. Elminster is, of course, in the artifact that came with him. And he is Inspiration 3, just to be clear, which makes him have very good enlightenment. I'll show you their builds after, though, fully. But this is kind of the gist of it. So, Karf is our Witch's Remains. This allows him to have 3 hits full board, don't need to manual him to hit all of the balls, and put that defense penalty on before our DPS of Ratus here does the job. Now, he's wearing a wild artifact. So if you don't have this, the horseshoe is a great example of something that could be used, or just the eyeball, honestly, as well. But this is just for the pure stats, crit damage and attack. He doesn't benefit from this wild artifact, so it's definitely not ideal, but having so much crit damage just really allows for me to build him a little bit better. And hell, I even had extra crit damage here. Zarloth, because of the great survivability that Gladros brings to this team, I was able to build pure damage. Now, in hindsight, it might be better to maybe take away a little bit of the crit and focus a little more attack so he heals better, or to pick a different aura, but I'll show that as well. But we have Gladros here in the Dawnpipe Organ because his shields scale best off attack. They scale off of attack and max HP, but the attack part is easier to stack and actually has a bigger impact. So he was the perfect candidate to put the Dawnpipe Organ on, which made me have Zarloth and Karf, or which gave Zarloth and Karf as ranged units more damage. So it's pretty good synergy there. Now let's go. I'll go ahead and show you their actual builds after the timing, though. So the timing here is for Karf, the second the balls drop, boom, just to immediately start going in with his ultimate so he could place a defense penalty. Then Ratus can go right after, and I'm tempted to just be like, to be fair, I'd probably say this 13 is a little bit safer, just in case, because he hits 3 times, and it could take the 3rd hit before he actually places a defense penalty, so it might have, this might be a little better just to give yourself a cushion. Zarloth, I'm going to manual because of this. Anyone with this diamond shape, they're not hitting all 6 balls, they're hitting 5 balls plus the boss. And in the second phase of this fight, the boss has even higher stats, even higher defense, whatever. And you'd rather hit the balls because you're going to do more damage, and that's the damage that really counts. So I'm going to be manualing Zarloth's ultimate to make sure that happens after the defense penalty is placed. Doesn't matter really which one goes, Aracha or Aratus or him. They could both go at the same time. Doesn't really matter. But yeah. And then luckily, of course, he's going to heal as well. So that helps to bring some utility. And I do have, whatchamacallit, as I forget his name, Gladros here, going early, technically. The first round he is going to be, we're going to skip it because it's fine. It's 1 round. It's not the end of the world. But 36 seconds puts him at preventing the debuffs for the enemies, or for the balls to place the attack penalty on our allies. And if you have if your debuff immunity person also is a cleanser, like a Cilia, you can go ahead and actually manual her the first round and then let it set to the 30 seconds afterward and kind of get that rolling. But, and have her, you know, they could cleanse a little late, and then by the time it rolls back, you could start manualing to be perfectly before the boss does the first skill, which is dropping the balls, and then those balls put attack penalty on your ranged units. So this is where debuff immunity comes in. It's only on ranged units, so Ratus isn't affected. He's great. But if you do have DPS in your team that you really need to do damage, you need debuff immunity or a cleanse right after immediately to prevent that massive damage loss, right? And then 20.5 for Elminster allows him to go through this ultimate and this ultimate just fine. So that way he has the attack penalty is up for 2 of the skills. You could technically make that longer. I don't think it has to be 20.5 because it's like kind of in between. But it does work for the way the boss does its movements, so kind of helps there. All right, so that is our presets. Let's go take a look at our heroes as well, and then I'll show you the run and talk through the beginning of it. So Karf here is, I'm just going to quickly show you his stats, right? He is in the Emperor set, and these are his stats. I wish I could get higher crit rate on him. I probably could. It's just going to take some tweaking, so that could be a little more ideal as well, but it's fine. He wasn't the main DPS, although he did a pretty good job, right? We had Elminster in the team in a Mona Lisa set. The Mona Lisa set, of course, allows for healing. So I have Elminster built for pure support, as much HP as I could get, with Enlightenment as the main focus, though. So this HP is pretty solid. It could be higher, but we wanted big Enlightenment, so 464. Keep in mind the 60 Enlightenment is because he's Inspiration 3. So that's 400 Enlightenment is pretty solid overall. I get that on my Adolphus as well when I build him. And then, of course, everyone needs enough accuracy to land. If you got the Alliance buffs plus your Psychic Core, you only need 230 for accuracy. All right, and then let's scroll down here. We have Aratus. I have him again in that ball. He is in an Inventor set, but I probably could do better. I think overall, the Emperor set is just better for everyone in this fight for the most part. I think it's it's shown to be big differences for me so far. There's probably exceptions to that rule. All right, but he's got almost 100% crit rate and a nice big 258% crit damage. Again, 80% crit damage just from this, which is why he's wearing that. So he is the main DPS. I should probably try him in an Emperor set instead, but it's fine. Zarloth, same thing. He is actually in an Inventor set as well. So ironically, I didn't use my Emperor set on this team. I don't know how or why that ended up happening, but I do have a really good Emperor set that I should probably have, but depending on how I use it, it can be really hard to get the crit rate I need. So Zarloth is built for pure damage here. He still has really good attack, so he heals based on attack, and with that in mind, I mean, you want a lot of attack, but 4,300 is pretty solid. You could go for the attack aura that he brings to have even higher, or take away what maybe the I gotta say crit. I don't even have the crit damage. I actually have an attack rune, so I did go to make sure he had enough attack here. I did go with that instead of crit damage, so he could be even harder hitting. That might make up the difference, but then he would heal a little less, and people might die even earlier. So that's something to consider. But I think, is that the whole team? Did I get everybody? Yes. So just a quick note, in the first round, which does not have all the fancy new stuff like getting stunned and the attack penalty, I did actually use Percival in the team instead, but in the second phase he has no point, because you really need, he kind of takes up a spot where you need someone more important like Gladros to prevent the debuffs and the stun, and he puts up an attack buff. That's the main reason for having him. And then with him putting burn on people, you can put him in a Cyril set, which is really great. But Gladros was kind of more important in this case for the second phase. But if you're on the first phase, having him go first before Karf or Biggs is your budget Karf. If you don't have Karf, you use Biggs. So it could be Percival, then Biggs or Karf, then Aratus, and yeah, that's kind of the flow of having Aratus explode the burns, and he can boost your burn allies' attack at the very least and put up a little bit of burns throughout the fight himself, but not helpful in the second phase really, because it's really all about yeah, everything else. But all right, guys, I'm gonna run the actual battle. I'm going to talk over the beginning part of the fight and talk about the setup and the positioning just briefly. But you will notice that I do position Aratus in one spot over, and that's because he has this shape. So his melee DPS damage, he will turn around and hit 3 or 4 of the balls, but or is it, maybe it's only 3 of the balls actually. But if you had him over to the side, he only hits like 1. So you actually do want to keep him in that front spot to the right a little, so that way he's hitting as many as possible at least. Alright, so I did do better with the attack aura after this run. Instead of crit damage, actually got a solid 200 mil, because the attack is actually going to help Zarloth and Gladros do better support. And then you can see there I have Aratus in that one particular spot that does allow him to hit the most amount of targets possible. And if you haven't already, be sure to download Dragonheir Silent Guides now using the link in the description or the pinned comment. It's available on Android, iOS, Mac, PC, Steam, and Epic Games.